Hey, this is Dr. Ryan with the Chiropractic Spa. I just want to take a minute and talk about one of my favorite topics, powerlifting. Now, I'm going to try and keep this succinct because I can ramble on all day about powerlifting. I've been doing it competitively for over a decade now, which seems crazy. It just means I'm getting old. And I wanted to talk about how chiropractic can actually benefit you in your powerlifting career, and not only career, but in your longevity. Because one of the biggest battles we fight as powerlifters is staying in the game. We got to stay healthy and make sure that everything is working appropriately so that you can function properly and keep pushing those weights and pushing the numbers up and keep moving forward so that you can have a long career and enjoy what you love. That's our ultimate goal, is to keep you in the game so that you can enjoy what you love and do what you love and enable you to keep doing it as long as you want. So then you don't have an end goal. You don't have an end date where you're just like, well, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. So we want to prevent that as long as possible. So I want to talk about three things real quick, three basic things that I see, not basic, but three things that I see pretty commonly with our powerlifting community, or within myself really, and it kind of goes for everybody. So first, we want to talk about how we can benefit and help the low back pain. Low back pain is extremely common from just a general pump and just having a pumped up low back from your workouts and not being able to move, to spasms, to reduced function, to disc bulges, to all of it. And so what we do here in the Chiropractic Spa, we are actually athletes treating athletes. So we focus on restoring function to the spine so that you can continue to perform at a high level. We go through a general assessment and we'll see what is actually causing the pain. We'll assess it from the root and go and give you a treatment plan and a protocol and even exercises, and use all the tools we have to keep you going and keep your career moving forward, or just your hobby, and able to enjoy it a little bit more. The second thing that I see that's really common in a lot of powerlifters is actually hip pain. Now, especially your wide squatters or people that actually pull sumo, we see a lot more hip pain. And when I think of hip pain, I don't think necessarily that the muscles are just tight or you have reduced range of motion. What I find is that most of the time the hips are actually just weak. We need to strengthen them up. So we have a lot of tools and things here to assess the mobility of the hips and the hip flexors, but also to assess imbalances within the hip flexors. So we can assess that and say, hey, maybe your right is just pulling a little bit tighter than the left, and this is causing a shift in your squat, and then you're using one leg more than the other and not getting your full explosion through the legs because one hip is lagging behind the other. So we'll do an assessment on that. We want to check that, make sure everything's working appropriately. Then we'll give you the rehab exercises for that and get you firing on all cylinders. The third thing that I see most commonly and most prevalent that really can impact all three of the lifts, and if you do overhead press, it definitely impacts that, is shoulder mobility and shoulder stability. My issue, I have a torn labrum in my left shoulder, so I've actually really researched into rehabilitation for the shoulders. And so for that, we want to see how you're moving, because a lot of people don't think about this, but even in the squat, your shoulder mobility greatly impacts the squat, because if you can't get under the bar, it doesn't matter how much your legs can drive, you're not going anywhere if you can't hold the bar. So we want to assess that mobility, especially in the scapular stability and mobility, because the scapula actually wings like this as you move through this range of motion to get those arms under the bar, and then to retract those scapula, you have to have the appropriate mechanics within the shoulder and integrity of the shoulder to do those motions. Obviously, I don't have to tell you that it impacts the bench press if you don't have the proper joint mobility and joint centration, which just means the joints are in the right place at the right time, doing the right and producing the right forces through all segments of the shoulder, in coordinating it all at the same time to produce the mechanism of the bench press. And obviously, a lot of people don't think about this, but one of the biggest stabilizer of the upper back is actually the lat, and the lat inserts right into the posterior aspect of the shoulder. So if you're deadlifting, you keep getting the rounded upper back. Well, we got to tighten up that upper back, strengthen the shoulders up to pull the shoulders back so that the deadlift isn't just flooring you and your hips are rising up. So we can test out the shoulder, look at it, assess it, make sure that it's doing everything it is supposed to be doing, so that you can deadlift properly and maintain integrity of the spine. So All of that said, that's a brief overview of the things that we can do for you to help you out and to keep you engaged in the game. Don't let the name, the Chiropractic Spa, fool you. We are athletes treating athletes. Don't be afraid to come in, check us out, give us a try. We'd love to help you stay in the game longer.